Hello! In this video, I'd like to share my experience with rose propagation using two simple methods, growing cuttings in pots and in the ground. You don't need any special things like a greenhouse or lamps for successful rose propagation. I hope my tips will help you to grow more roses to make our gardens even more beautiful. I will also show you roses that are already rooted. I managed to make 3 cuts, but I will use just 2. I won't use the very bottom part. I think is useless because the nodes are dry here and it doesn't look like it will make it. The top of the stem usually is more successful in rooting, and it has good leaves, so I will keep the top leaves, all the top leaves, and the more leaves you keep on the cutting, the more food this cutting will have, since leaves participate in photosynthesis and they give food to the stem to grow roots. So that's why after observing so many root cuttings, I just decided that that's the most or one of the most important details in order for the root cutting to grow roots. Okay, also I will cut the stem under about 45 degrees, and I will make a few scratches on the stem, on the bottom of the stem. Sometimes roots decide to grow not just from the bottom of the stem, but from sides, from the scratched sides. I will show you in a minute. So what I do, I use my garden scissors to make a few cuts along the stem like this. So I'll make maybe a couple more. Okay. In the attached video, you can see my rooted roses that I did during summertime, and you can see how roots grew not just from the bottom of the stem, but from all the cuts that I did along the stem. When placing your root cutting into the soil, it's important to remember that at least half of the cutting needs to be in the soil. So this one will go up to this leaf node right here, and the rest of the leaves will stay above the ground. It's okay, I have had many root cuttings with their leaves like on the surface, and they were just fine, they still rooted. I will cut the rest of these beautiful roses, and I will show you how I put them into the potting mix. So this is an experiment. I want to test which way is better for winter root cuttings, either to root stems in a pot with sand mixture or in the ground. So one group of stems will be placed in a pot with the sand mixture, and one group of stems will be placed into the soil. And I'll show you how. So ground planting is simple. I will make holes in the ground using a stick, and I will insert my stems into the soil. I will dip each stem into a rooting hormone, hopefully for better results. Also, I will press around each stem to make sure there are no air pockets. My prediction is that the cuttings placed in the ground will do better and will root better, because soil conditions during winter time are better than in a pot. So for about 7 parts of sand, I have 1 part of vermiculite and maybe 2 parts of perlite. All mixtures are wet. Sand was without cover under rain, and all 3 ingredients are wet. So mix well and then fill the pot. So make sure there are no air pockets. Okay, then we'll make holes using a stick. Okay, and I will insert the stems first into the root hormone. Okay, I got my root hormone. And you don't need much. Small quantity is enough. Okay. And leaves on the surface are just fine. Okay, I make sure there are no air pockets by pressing on the soil mixture carefully. Around each stem. To make sure there are no air pockets. I will not water these cuttings because the sand mixture is wet, is really wet, and it's not dry season now. But during summertime, these have to be watered often, depending on temperatures. During summer, I use my finger to check the sand for moisture. If it feels dry, then I add water. If it doesn't feel dry, if it feels kind of wet, then I do not add water. It may be tricky during summer. You cannot add too much water, or you cannot keep your sand dry. Otherwise, the rootings won't be successful. So it's easier to do root cuttings during wet months, like in the fall. I always label my plants not to lose them, not to lose the names. And last thing we do, we put a plastic bag on this pot. This part of my house doesn't get sunlight until like 5-6 p.m. and only like for an hour or 2 hours maximum during summer times. So I keep them in a shade. It takes about 3-4 weeks for rose cuttings to grow roots. To check if they started growing roots, you need to pull the cutting a little bit, and if you feel pressure, if you can't take them out, then they are successful and they started growing roots. Like I cannot pull this one out. So you need to be very careful not to damage their gentle roots. And these cuttings grew beautiful roots. And what I do next, I plant them directly into the soil. I do not replant my cuttings into a bigger pot. I just plant them directly into the ground. And all of the cuttings that I replanted, about 95% of them, they did well and they grew big plants. This rose I grew from a root cutting that I did on a store-bought rose in April of 2025. And this is how big it grew in just 6 months. She had wonderful, beautiful blooms in October. And I planted her directly into the ground after the cutting grew nice roots. I will post an update in about 2-3 months to show the results of the cuttings that we did today. Thank you so much for watching.